Hello there. I'm Fred, and this is the Daria Reactions. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. For those who are new here, very briefly, I am doing a reaction, discussion, commentary series on MTV's Daria. But it's also for me, it's a rewatch because, as I like to admit, I was in high school when Daria was first airing on MTV. But for the most part, it's been a good like 20, well over 25 years in the case of some episodes from when I first seen them. So a lot of this is how I'm doing this is based more off of my own memory and things that I don't remember, so generally reacting to for the first time, discussing key moments and things of that nature. Uh, just to give a different perspective on this because a lot of YouTube reaction channels, number one, they butcher the hell out of everything, and I like to have that stream of consciousness. To give my unfiltered opinion, so there's no cuts, no anything, straightforward here. So if you're wondering how the hell we do this as well, when I say there's no cuts, no filtering, we got the display capture up. We turn the blur on and off as we go through it to make sure you know exactly what I'm reacting to. Plus, if you want to sync it up with your own copies of the episodes, if you so happen to have a copy of the DVD versions of these episodes that somehow works on most DVD players, which I unfortunately don't, as I discussed several weeks ago, or if you're watching it on a streaming service of some kind. So this week's episode that we're covering is the Daria Hunter, um, episode 2 of season 2, and this is one of those episodes I certainly remember, but I thought it was much later in the series. This because of certain things that are introduced in it. What I remember about this episode, it's the paintball episode. And everyone gets divided into teams. I think three members of the fashion club. I think it's Quinn, Stacy, and Tiffany are on end up in one group, and Sandy ends up in another. I know. I think if memory serves me correctly, Sandy gets left behind, and he got an entire apocalypse. I think it's an Apocalypse Now reference. I never seen that movie, but that's what I all, or at least like I've always heard that's what they're direct reference to. The title of this episode, the Daria Hunter, is I know it's a reference to the Deer Hunter, another movie that I have never seen, but it is apparently Sledgehammer's favorite comedy, and Sledgehammer is a show I have seen, and I would love to do a reaction or a commentary series like this to at some point. Um, Other things I remember about this episode uh, is I believe this is the where Mrs. Branch, the science teacher, and and Mr. O'Neill have like their first direct interactions, and she realizes that he's like a real sensitive, passive beta male, which is like perfect for a woman like her. And I think this is that were their first big interactions. I think Jake and Mr. Diamato, and why do I feel like I got his name wrong again? I think it's Mr. Diamato or Mr. DiMartino. I am kicking myself now that I can't fricking remember. But I think I know Mr. The teacher with the big guy's name. His first name is Anthony, so it's like Jake and Anthony. They have their direct interactions as well. I think they're paired up too. So with that said, it's like that's what I remember off the top of my head. Okay, so that's it. Also, audio is obviously gonna be like muted and stuff. You might hear some residual audio coming from my computer speakers to my microphone, but that's why we have uh the display capture up. So this way, do we make this as transformative as humanly possible without any cuts and things of that nature. Alrighty. So let's get into it. La la. Also of note here, this episode does not have the full intro. All right, got that right. He's like, how could you sleep through his class when he yells at you like that? You know, now that I think about it, I don't think this episode could have or would have aired after the Columbine incident. So this aired in 1998, I believe. The Columbine incident was in spring of 1999. So if this, so now that I'm thinking about it, there's no way this episode could have aired later in the series because of that. Oh, he's going to put so many paintballs into Kevin, it's not even funny. Yes, it's. Quinn, we all know that you're jealous of Daria's room. He did? So how does Jake and Helen find out about it? Wait, her, that's actually a cool look for Quinn with the braids. And Quinn cracked easily. Even though it was Quinn's idea to go to Daria and said night to suggest it or send the volunteers to Jake and Helen. I just like on the back on the Daria's newspaper there is an advertisement for Six Sad World. Jake is like, whoop, full 360. That was great. You want to finish out the semester for me? It's what an involved parent would do. Mom, I think you've already demonstrated your involvement by pretending you're going out of town whenever Mr. O'Neill calls about school review meetings. That man is just so creepy. I don't know. Mr. O'Neill's nice. He's just a bit passive. Just very, very passive. Yes, thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Have a seat, please. The history of guerrilla warfare. Ambushing from the bushes, essentially. You know, sharks don't really like to eat humans. They usually just tear out a big bite and swim away. Very much like my sister's dates. I mean, sure, they often take a vital organ or two with them. There is something weird about the coloring here on the skin tone for Daria and Jane. On that shot, they look a lot more yellowy than normal. How would you give? I would like to know how would Kevin play Monopoly on a moving vehicle? Again, the braided look on Fashion Club is actually quite decent. The shiny kind? Wait, Tiffany needs glasses? Sandy is not amused. Yes, give Mrs. Branch live ammunition. She'll thin the herd real quick. Wait, he's going steady with two people at the same time? Brittany is not amused. Yeah, the skin coloring on Jane and Daria here is actually less yellow. I mean, again, it's like when you're watching this stuff for commentary, discussion, and no cuts, it's like you actually paying attention as Brittany just beats the shit out of Kevin off screen. Tend to notice stuff like that. Oh no, they're there. It's never enough. Yeah, they don't look particularly thrilled. I'd like to know why the intro for this episode was cut out. Unless they had so much there to include. Oh, you can get have your wedding at the replica of the Hanoi Hilton at this place. Sign me up. Now I just need someone stupid enough to propose to me. Oh boy, Jake is in the hole. Now, for whatever reason, though, I thought Jake was a Vietnam vet. No, because he's younger than Mister DiMartino, Anthony, whatever. Yeah, it's an interesting breakup of the groups. Wait, when did Jake get out the hole? Like, how did Jake get out the hole? That's a great shot right there. Yeah, it is totally Quinn's uncle. She calls him daddy. Wait, what? Well, there's his feelings. I don't think Mrs. Branch ever had a prime. Oh, I said Miss Barch. Brittany is a freaking genius. She's a genius. Very good, Brittany. The fact that she came up with a tactical plan. Mrs. Barch, you have men on your team. I don't. Is that like why do I keep calling her Mrs. Branch? That is the possibility of sanity. It's like, yeah. So she's in Michigan. Wait, Daria's been wandering around for an hour. She was trying. What a way to bring her cell phone along. Yeah, can you believe that Helen's out in the middle of the woods again after the berries incident? Yes, it does give them the right to hold hold for them to hold a grudge, Quinn. Absolutely. Whoops, Sandy's out of the game. The fashion club, it explodes. Not intentionally. Say what you want. At least Sandy was actually playing the game right. Quinn should be the president of the fashion club. Yes, as long as Sandy is around. The rivalry is more instigated here. Yes, Kevin. Kevin is smart. Why is he carrying a football? Yeah. Brittany. Holy shit, Brittany! It's like, yeah. Well, okay. Brittany's a cheerleader, but the fact that she did like a full combat maneuver. Mrs. Barch, he's not your husband. Exactly. Well, simple logic there. 3 miles to the Great White Sark. Man, this episode has really great pacing. It's moving quick. You know, the wet hair look is a good look for both of them in terms of a design. It's a tooth. All right, what's the legend? Principal Lee, I don't think anybody has ever looked at her as a certain object. Wait. So I was right about this interaction. So that raises the question: is how old is Mrs. Branch? It's like if 22 years, so would she be in her early 40s or is she going to be like in her 50s? Yeah. She can't believe it. Break out the alcohol. Yes. Yes, you should. Oh, yes. So it's like I could have sworn I know Jake has the military background. It's like I thought Jake was a Vietnam a vet or something actually because of like the age thing. But I could have sworn Anthony, Mr. Diamato, Mr. DiMartino, whatever. Meanwhile, at the Hanoi Hilton, that's a good answer. Which one will take Quinn to Shea Pierre? That's the one she's gonna like the best. Oh. I don't know. His looks are apparently important. Still. Oh, and she's going out for the bathroom. Oh, and she was looking to take a shot at Quinn too. Well, and this. Wait, she's always looking for a bathroom? No, way cuter. How is it completely different? Yeah, they're not being raised, they're being lowered. Will be nice to students. Oh, oh, the feud between Principal Lee and Helen begins. Oh, wait, did they get into a fist fight, or does this remain a straight up argument between these two? Helen does not look 50. She looks Helen looks significantly younger than Mrs. Branch. Is why I'm actually questioning the age. How old is Mrs. Branch? Oh, oh. Look, she's tearing up, man. Well, hey, we all saw that Mr. O'Neill was going to get in there. So Anthony, same neighbors. The bonding between these two is actually pretty cool. Yeah, he's stoned. Oh, Quinn was looking to take another shot. Cool. Whew. They bang a gong and got it on. They brought their own car. Again, Principal Lee is such a bitch. The helicopters, the school buses are leaving. It's going to be a long walk back for her. Yeah, that has to be an Apocalypse Now reference. Again, I've never seen the movie, but at least that's what's always referred to. Meanwhile, underneath it... Yeah, he's been committed. He's in a marriage. Marriage is a commitment. The horror. All right. Okay. So. All right. That was great. I'm actually. I can't believe I always thought it was Mrs. Barnes, but it's like Mrs. Branch. So again, another name I get wrong, and I know Mr. Di Martino, Mr. D'Amatos. Well, I know his first name is Anthony, so I'm just better off just referring to him as Anthony the rest of the way through when doing these episodes. I actually thought he had, because I thought Jake had military experience. I was just like, or at least was a war vet. Because I know there's an entire episode where like hippie friends of Jake and Helen comes to visit at some point. So I thought Jake would have been about that age, but apparently not. But I thought Anthony would have had like war experience, at least judging by like that he is older than Jake at the very least. But this episode was great. I'm guessing if I ever saw Apocalypse Now, that I would actually appreciate the ending bit with Sandy running after the school bus is falling and the dramatic pose. I would appreciate that a lot more. But again, I could be wrong in drawing a correlation there based on like what's that phrase when you think something is true after hearing it so many times or think you've heard it so many times? Retroactive memory or something that you just trick your mind into thinking one thing or another. Let's see. Helen and Principal Lee having their scene there where you know for their animosity there, where Helen basically insults the school because Principal Lee is not a particularly good school administrator. With a great line there where you treat the school, it's like what was it? Principal Lee has a line where it's like, I can't think of a prison that could help forge the attitude of your daughters, which is reference to Daria. And Helen comes back and it's like, funny, you run your school, basically you run your school almost like a prison. So it's like, but we all know that the Morgendorfers moved to Lawndale High, so it's like a lot of Daria's unique personality traits and quirks was established long before that. Brittany steals the show. Number one, Brittany comes up with like a full-on tactical plan, which is again is another shot, a sign of her genius. And when you go back to I forget which episode in season one, it was like the college board where Brittany daydreams about graduating from college, having a doctorate, and so forth. Like, okay, she has that level of intelligence. She is, or at least has that potential to be on that same level of Jodie, of Daria, of Jane in terms of that level of like of intelligence. Maybe not. Brittany may not be book smart, but she definitely has like a unique perspective and unique way of thinking that she was able to do something that others couldn't. And again, her backflipping in like a full-on tactical position to take out Anthony, again, Mr. DiMartino, Mr. D'Amato, whatever, it was actually impressive. Again, I know she has the cheerleading background. She's a cheerleader, so I should not be surprised about her agility. But the fact that she does it without a second thought is actually pretty amazing. Daria and Jane going off to the Great White Shark and just a tourist trap bit. It's like, it's kind of a shame that there's not really much there other than like them just going to a tourist trap and being stuck there until the rain lets up, which is kind of disappointing. But again, was not really a plot where the characters, they were there, but it's not like they would totally be will go all in on participating with the paintball field trip. But at the same time, the fact that all four members of the fashion club they're like willing and got directly involved, and that they didn't even think about, and that Quinn did not even think about shooting what she thought was Daria, is actually that's pretty interesting. There that the fashion club actually going all in was actually pretty cool. And also again, there's like the Mrs. Branch and Mr. O'Neill hooking up for the very first time. That's a great little moment there because they are actually paired up a lot. Or at least I know there is something significant involving their characters that that becomes reoccurring, and because I remember a plot later on where Anthony is helping Timothy again. Mr. O'Neill is like in terms of like trying to give him that oomph to stand up for himself a bit instead of being steamrolled by Mrs. Branch the entire time. But I think that's way later. It's like anything else about this episode that stands out. Nope, that just about covers it. Real fun episode too, and action packed. So with that said, we'll wrap this up here. As we always like to say, tighten your friendship bracelet, stay safe. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all in the next video.